Hey everybody, Technoli here. Today I've got kind of a cool video. I had this i7-7400 processor laying around, and that's a Kaby Lake processor. So I thought, you know what? I need to do OpenCore on a Kaby Lake. So I found this Asus board, H1110, and it does have an M.2, which is kind of cool, in it. And I thought this would be a great board to test OpenCore Kaby Lake. So we did it, and it's working great. Let me show you how it worked out.
All right, guys, here we go. I know this might seem a little bit redundant that I'm showing you how to do each one of these, but when we're learning OpenCore, I think it's a good lesson to go through the process. I've had so many people that just are not following the instructions perfectly, and then they run into problems. So, you really need to watch the videos, almost, like all the way through, just to make sure you don't miss something, because that's the most important part. You miss one little stupid thing, and it won't work. So I know it's frustrating, but hang in there. We have these programs here that are in my description and on my website that we'll download. This is the Gib macOS master, the generation serial number generator, the proper tree. We've got OpenCore, the new one, 5.6, and we've got IASL for doing the compiling of the SSDTs that we need. First thing we're going to do is we're going to install Python, and I want you to make sure you check this box here, add Python 3.8 to path. Make sure you do this or you'll have all kinds of problems. Go ahead and hit customized installation and make sure everything is checked, and click next. Go ahead and install for all users and click install. This is a 32-bit program, so if you're running a Windows 32-bit machine, it should work fine. Now we're building this on a Windows machine. I am going to be coming out with a video that shows you how to do an OpenCore on a Mac. But right now we're doing this on Windows because most people already have a Windows machine. But remember, you have to install Windows on the machine you're going to hack. Okay, so that's the only way this is really going to work properly. So just grab an old hard drive, install Windows 10 on it, and do this process to build your USB bootloader OpenCore for the computer you're going to Hackintosh. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here to Gib macOS, and we're going to double click, and then I want you to right click on Gib macOS.bat. Now if you don't have the .bat, go up here to where it says View and click these two little ticks here, file name extensions and hidden items. That way you can see the .bat. All right, so right click on that and run as administrator, and you can see right there it shows you some OSs to download, but we want to get more specific than that, so hit R and then enter, and it's going to rescan. And what we want to look for is, I'm going to put Catalina on this machine. So here it is. There's the newest Catalina, 10.15.3, and it has to say full install, or it won't work, and you'll have all kinds of errors. If it's a security update or something like that, it's not going to build your USB bootloader. So this is number 5. We'll select it, and then hit enter, and it says, looks like you've already downloaded it. Well, I have, so I'm not going to bother. But here you would click yes, and it'll download the macOS. Now it's going to put it in a folder right here called macOS Downloads in the Gib Mac folder that we have on the desktop. All right. So now we need to go to make install.bat, right click, run as administrator, and then here we want to choose, I've got an M.2 hard drive in this motherboard, So we want to choose the SanDisk. So that would be number 2, because that's what we're going to be putting the vanilla bootloader on. And then we're going to select O equals use OpenCore instead of Clover. So it's O, not 0. Now, if you've got a hard drive here and you choose the wrong thing, you're going to erase it. So be very careful right here. Okay, and then hit enter, and because it'll tell you right there, everything's going to be lost and erased. Continue. All right. There we go. Now, after we do that, we have to tell this program where that download is that we just did. So we'll go over here. We're still in Give macOS folder. Go to macOS Downloads, Public Release, and then right here, under here is the actual file that we're going to use to build the USB bootloader. It's 486 megabytes. Okay, just highlight it, click Home, and click Copy Path, and then right-click your mouse into this command prompt and hit Enter. Now, this is where it actually builds the complete vanilla USB drive. And it'll say right there, it will take some time. And it does take about, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes. And when this is done, we'll come back. Okay, guys, so we're all done with that. Now you're going to notice that we're going to have our USB right here. It's going to be renamed to boot, and it has this EFI folder in it. And what we're concerned with now is the OC and the drivers right here that it put in by default, all of these files and folders. So let's go ahead and go into drivers and just let's get rid of these. Let's delete those because I'm going to give you the ones that are more commonly used. Some of these are for legacy systems, older systems, and so we just want to start fresh. Let's go ahead and get rid of those. Now in here, by default, there's not going to be any KEX. You have to add those. KEX are like drivers, remember? And then under Tools, we can go ahead and get rid of this stuff too. Okay. Now, what we want to do is go over here. I've also got this for you in the description and on my webpage for this particular motherboard. Now we have Apple ALC, which is an audio type of driver. Then we have the Realtek 8111, which on this particular motherboard, it has a Realtek Ethernet controller. So those two are needed for Ethernet and audio. The rest of these are standard that are always going to be used when we're doing OpenCore. They're for our graphics drivers and just to make everything work. So what we want to do is let's go over here to KEX and let's copy these. Let's copy and paste them into our USB KEX folder. All right, now let's go up to drivers right here. And these are common drivers. Most always are needed for OpenCore. And we're going to copy them and paste them into here. Okay, now let's see here. What don't we have? We have no SSDTs. We have no config.plist. So guys, go over here to the OpenCore folder and go under Docs and grab that sample plist. Go ahead and drag it into there. And we're going to rename this to config. Okay, so config.plist. All right, now we're moving along. So the next thing we need to do is build our SSDTs. We're going to need a couple of things. First of all, we're going to need Notepad. All right, so we got Notepad right here. I'm going to minimize that for now. So I got Notepad, and then we're going to need a command prompt. All right, let's put this over here. All right, let's go back to the OpenCore, or go to the OpenCore page. OpenCore And this is Kaby Lake. So we want to use this config.plist. Okay, Kaby Lake, not Coffee Lake, not Sky Lake. Now, if you want to try one of your motherboards, this would be the same process, but you choose the chipset from over here that you have to build your config.plist. So I'm going to use Kaby Lake. Now, the first thing I want to do is go down here to ACPI, and these are two SSDTs that we're going to need. So let's go ahead and click on these. All right, and we have to compile these as files. So let's go here and copy all of this up to the definition block. Don't copy any of this stuff with the */. Okay, copy it, and let's put it into our notepad. And we're going to then file, save as, SSDT-plug. All right, so that's good. Control A, get rid of that. Let's go back over here. We need to do this one too. We need to compile this one. So let's go down here, go up, 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 until we get to, yeah, right there. See that */? So we'll just copy this, put it into here, paste, and then we're going to call this one this. So file, save as, SSDT USBX, and hit enter. All right. Now we need to compile those files. So let me minimize this for now. So now we have our command prompt window open. We need to go over here to the IASL folder, and you'll notice that those files that we saved on the notepad went into here. Now if you messed up, make sure when you do your when you have your notepad open, make sure that you do file, save as, and make sure you're going into that folder, okay, right there. So if you don't see the files, it copied them probably over to your documents folder or something. So we need to compile these files. So let's highlight the executable, the IASL, and go to Home, Copy Path, and then right-click into the command prompt and hit spacebar. Okay, then let's highlight this text file, the first one, go up to Home, Copy Path, right-click, and then hit Enter. Now see it compiled the file to a .aml file. So let's do the next one. Home, Copy Path, right-click, spacebar, and we need this SSDT-plug. So Home, Copy Path, right-click, and hit Enter. All right, now we can close that out. Now we have our compiled files. So let's go ahead and open up a new window showing our bootloader. Go under EFI, OC, ACPI, and we need to copy just the .aml files right here. All right, boom. Okay, now we can close all this out. And now we want to go back to ProperTree and right-click on propertree.bat, admin, and we want to open up our config.plist. Now underneath all of these, we have all of our ACPI, we have our SSDTs, we have our drivers, we have our KEX, and we want to open it. All right. First thing we want to do is click File and then OC Snapshot. This is going to put in the path that we need for all of those drivers and SSDTs. So once we go File, OC Snapshot, we want to click OC and click Select Folder. Now that just made a bunch of changes right here. The first thing I want you guys to do before we forget, you see right here under ACPI, you know those SSDT files that we compiled? they're set to false. We need to set these to true. So double click on false and select true. Right there, true. Okay. And let's go ahead and save. Just right there, save. Okay, now for the long, drawn out work. We have to go back to OpenCore, and we have to go down here now and check all of our settings on our config.plist. If you miss one of these things, it could cause your system to panic on you or have an error message or get stuck. So first thing we want to do, we're under ACPI, right? Right here. We're going to go down here to where it says quirks. Go down, down, down. All right. And we want to check these. No equals false. Okay. Yes equals true. So all of these are turned off. Boom, boom, boom. So we're good there. So let's go down under booter, quirks, and we want to just check all of these. So yes, that one's set correctly. No, 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 no. Enable safe mode slide. Yes, yes. No, no, no. Go down here to provide custom slide. Okay, that is set right for us. Set up virtual map. Yes, yes, and no. False. All right, this is for integrated graphics. Right now I'm using a graphics card. If you want to use your onboard graphics, check out my new video called Final Fix for Intel and see if that will work for you. All right, let's go down here past kernel. And this is just telling you this is the paths that they put the Lilu Kext, and this is the path to it. That all of that's already done because we did the snapshot. So we'll go down here to quirks. All right, let's go down here real quick. All right, we want to verify everything. So the first two should be true. All right, and then no, 2, 3. 3 no's, and then let's go down here to disable low mapper. That needs to be true or yes. No, 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 no. Go down here to panic no dump. That needs to be true. And the next one, timeout panic, needs to be true. And port limit needs to be true. All right, miscellaneous. So we're just verifying these items, okay? We're verifying that hibernate mode, bulletin, we're just verifying. Everything on this looks good. Go down here, delay, yes, that's right. It's the same. Now, debug right here. Disable watchdog needs to be true. And then target right here needs to be set to 67. And then display level, let's just copy this. Copy it. And double click on this number and Command V. All right. So let's go down here to where it says allow VRAM. Those first two need to be set to yes or true. No, 6. This right here is super important. It says Vault. It's set to secure. Well, it says right here it won't boot if it is set to secure. So let's set it to what they have here, optional. Okay, double click. Control V, optional. I made that mistake the first time and it didn't boot. Scan policy needs to be 0. NVRAM, let's go down here to NVRAM. These numbers are the same. Next we want to go to boot arguments. So double click here and put a space bar. So -V is the verbose mode. That's all that text you see when you boot your system that we want to see because we want to see where our computer gets stuck if it does. But we need to add this, debug. Copy that. And Control V that in there. And then space bar, we need this one for audio. Now when you're done with your computer, if you don't want to see that text, you just come into your config.plist and get rid of this -v, but leave everything else. All right, guys. Now we have to change the language. This stuff is all fine the way it's set. So we want to come down here to where we can change it to English. The default is Russian. So we'll put that in there, and now we're in English. All right. So let's move on down to block. And we've got legacy enabled. Write flash, which is down here a little ways, needs to be set to true. Platform. I want you guys to go ahead and put in iMac 18,1 like they specify on the page. This is your serial number, your UUID, and this is your MLB, which is also known as a board number. This is where you'll change these after you get everything loaded to create, and we're going to generate new numbers so your iMessage will work, and you know, all of the wonderful things that you can do with Mac. All right, so we'll go down here a little ways and board serial numbers. Okay, and then it goes back up. Automatic is set to true, and then generic is set to yes. Doesn't have the other one. Update data hub, that is right there, and it's set correctly. Update VRAM is correct, and CMOS mode create, so that's good. So let's go down here, UEFI, we've already got our drivers, so we'll go down here and just verify everything is correct. Leave this like this on audio device. It says blank, but it has this in there, and it worked for me, so don't worry about it. All right, all of these are correct. Keyboard, forget threshold, 5.2, yes, auto, false, false, 5,000, yep, we're okay. All right, built-in graphics. See, we have to check everything, guys. We just have to check everything, because if we miss something, it's not gonna work. Provide console GOP is true, and no to the next one. No, no, no. Okay, and then we've got Apple. Let's see here, Apple SimCLU right there. No. No, no, no. So we're okay. And then quirks. So request boot var backup. Request has to be true. And request boot var routing is true. And unlock FS Connect. Okay, we are done. So file and click save. It's just file and save, not save as. All right, guys, let's get into the BIOS on this one, make a few changes, and see if it boots. Okay, guys, let's start tapping that delete key. Want to get into that BIOS. All right, now on ASUS, you press F7 to get to the advanced mode. And the first thing we want to do is go over here and load optimized defaults. Okay, now let's go over here to advanced and check each one of these. So this is platform miscellaneous configuration, everything's disabled. CPU configuration, we want to go and check and make sure that CFG lock is disabled. Okay, everything else is fine. System agent, we want to make sure VTD is disabled. We want to turn on enable above 4G decoding. Graphics configuration, we're going to set this to my PCIe because I got that 570 Radeon in there. This one, you can leave it auto. DMI,
PEG port, auto, memory configuration, enabled. Go down here to PCH, just leave it enabled. PCH storage, everything here is fine by default. Okay, onboard configuration. We want to make sure our audio controller's on. Everything here looks good, but let's go down here to the serial port and disable that. So we got it off. Okay, APM, nothing. Stack, disabled. This, not available. USB configuration, just by default. Now let's go over here to boot. We want to disable fast boot. Boot configuration is fine by default. CSM, we want to disable it. Secure boot, other OS. Everything else down here is fine. So let's go over to exit, save changes, and reset. Now on the Asus, it's F8 to get to your boot menu. And I've got that M2 hard drive on the motherboard, so I'm ready to go there. F8, F8. All right, I'm going to go down here to my SanDisk USB and hit enter. And then here's my menu, and I want to do it Mac OS base system from the external, which is my USB, right? All right, as you know, there's going to be a lot of text that goes down, down, down. And when we get up to where we format the drive, we will come back. Oh yeah, it's so nice when these work. Opencore, I mean, it seems, you know, pretty foolproof. We're having good success here. All right, when this comes up, we're going to format the drive. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and go to the disk utility. I'm going to erase the one I just did my test on. We're going to go down here and select to show all devices. That's my M.2. I'm going to erase it. I'm going to call it cat Kaby for Kaby Lake. APFS and GUID partition map. Let's erase that. All right, we are done with that. We'll go out of here and reinstall macOS. Remember, if you get that message that says your file is damaged, you have to change your date. You have to set your date to the correct date. Okay? So the way you would do that is you wouldn't have this screen. You'd have that box. Go to Utilities, Terminal, and type in date. And look at your date. Enter. All right, my date is correct. But you would type it in, date, space, and then you put in the month, the day, the hour, the minutes, and 20 for the year. All right, just in case you get that error. Quit out of terminal, and let's get installing. I do have my Ethernet cable plugged in, and you need to have that plugged in, or you might get an error message that it can't search the web. Select our hard drive. Okay. Now this will get up here a little ways, and then it will reboot automatically. I won't make you wait here, so it will come back when it reboots. Okay, this one's a little bit slow installing the OS, so just hang in there with it. Okay, we're up to about 4 minutes remaining. Let's see what happens. Okay, there she goes. So it didn't quite finish, right? So leave your USB stick in there. We're going to have to boot with it again. And we can just let the menu come up. There we go. So now I want to go to where it says macOS installer and hit enter. That should go a little faster now. Okay, she got stuck there a little bit. It'll get stuck on a line or two, but let it pass. Let's see what we come up to now. Okay, so we'll let this go through here, and we'll come back when it does its thing. Okay, about a minute remaining on this. We'll see what happens here. Okay, there it goes, finally. Now, we're going to leave the memory stick in there, the USB, and we're going to boot one more time on the hard drive. And there it is, Kaby. Just hit enter on that. Okay, so it got stuck on a couple of lines there, but it goes past and comes up. All right, now the fun stuff. So we have our Ethernet cable plugged in, and we're going to go ahead and select our country. Right here. Okay, and now we just leave it like that. Continue. Don't want to transfer. I don't want to sign into Apple ID because I haven't changed my serial numbers yet, right? So we'll skip this. Agree and agree. And go ahead and name it, guys. Whatever you want. Put in a password. All right. And enable my location services. Disable analytics. And sure, we'll turn on Siri. What do you think? Light or dark, light or dark, light or dark, light or dark. You know what? I always go with dark. Let's go with light mode. All right, now let's go ahead and tell it what kind of keyboard we have. Done. All right, let's go over here to About This Mac and look at our graphics card. Right there it is, the RX 570 4GB. I've got 16 gigabytes of RAM in this little puppy. It's an i5, 3 gigahertz it shows. All right, so we should have an internet. Yep, we do. Good deal. And let's go down here to properties and let's go to sound. And there it, yeah, there's our audio. Everything's working. Let's see, make a sound here. Yep. There we go. And the internal microphone on this one does work. So that's cool. All right, guys. So now we have to copy our EFI folder to our hard drive, right? So in order to see the hard drive, we have to have, of course, I like to use Clover Configurator. So I got a little thumb drive here with Clover on it. And I'll just go ahead and drag it out here. I'm going to drag out my Geekbench too because I want to do a test. And let's go ahead and pull out, Cinebench. Let's see how it goes. All right. So we're going to go into Clover Configurator. Remember when you first do it, you have to right click and say open and then open. Now I want to mount the EFI partition on the hard drive, which is right here, my cat Kaby. Put in my password. Open partition. So there it is. There's nothing in there, no folder. So I'm going to go here to our boot drive and just drag this folder into here. All right, perfect. Now we can boot without the USB. Let's go ahead and restart. Okay, I'm going to pull out my USB drives. There we go. And let's We come up here to the menu, and it's already on Kaby, or Cat Kaby, so let's hit enter and see how she goes. Now, if you want to get rid of that text on the screen, we can do that, remember? But we have to use proper tree. We can't use Clover configurator to open up our config.plist with Opencore. We have to use proper tree. There goes my fans on my graphics card. All right, so there we go. That's working. Now, what do you say we run these benchmarks real quick? Let's go ahead and run Geekbench and see what numbers we come up with. I'll be right back. All right, guys, we're coming down to the end here. Now remember, this is an i5 7400. This is Kaby Lake. So let's see. Okay, 848, 3127. Let's compare that with some other Macs. 848. All right, let's go down here. 840. All right. Here's a MacBook Pro 15-inch, late 2016. It was an i7 with 4 cores. Here's a 27-inch iMac from 2013. i5 4570. I actually have one of those, and it runs good. And here is an i5 6500, 27-inch iMac, late 2015. So not bad numbers at all. Let's look at that multi. So we had 3127, right? So 3127, let's go down here, 3127. There's a 3127. Okay, MacBook Pro 2013. An early Mac Pro from 2019. That's funny. And a MacBook Pro 2014. So not bad numbers at all. I think the whole cost on this was like, I don't know, $120, $130. So really inexpensive. I'll go ahead and let's go ahead and install Cinebench real quick. Okay, let's go over here and run it. All right. And when this is done, we will come back with the results. All right, guys, so we're coming down to it here. It's not bad. Test didn't take too long. And we'll see where we're at. This little machine, you know, it'll do some, you know, it's not just a office machine. It'll do some work. Okay, not a bad score. Right there, 1345. So we're right there with an i7. Right there, an i7 4850. And we're way above this other i5. So, you know, not bad at all. So there you go, guys. Kaby Lake. And with the open core. And we're going to continue to do these different motherboards, and we're just going to test and make sure they're going to work for you guys, because I have a lot of you guys that ask me, will it work on this motherboard? Will it work on that motherboard? You know, really, you just have to test it, because like I said, I can't test them all, but you know, if it's a Kaby Lake board or if it's Coffee Lake, Skylake, you know, whatever it is, if you go by the guide and follow my open core of how to build it, you shouldn't have any problems, and you should be able to get it working, whether it's an Asus or a Gigabyte or a MSI board. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next